everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus coming at you with some Lurrus in the main deck. Jund, a response to the changes to the companion mechanic. Those of you that aren't aware, the companion mechanic was changed to where if you wish to have a companion, you must pay 3 during a main phase to put it into your hand, effectively doubling the cost of something like Lurrus of the Dream Den. So we're trying out a slightly modified version. It's kind of a hybridization of the Lurrus companion version that we played last time out, with some main deck cards like Liliana of the Veil and upping land count a little bit to try to kind of make up for the fact that we're playing Liliana again, going slightly up the curve with 3 Lurruses in the main deck. Still playing a small Lurrus package with the Mishra's Baubles and one of Seal of Fire here. Beyond that, we're playing basically a bunch of 3 ofs, 3 Thoughtseize, 3 Inquisition, 3 Bolt, 3 Pat, 3 Push, 2 and 2 on Goyf, or Ooze and Croxa, 4 Tarmogoyf, 3 Run-In 6, 2 Liliana, and of course 3 Lurrus of the Dream Den. 2 Kolaghan's Command to rebuy a lot of this stuff, and then beyond that, playing 23 lands, including 2 Nurturing Peat lands and a Baron Moor to have some synergy with Run-In 6. Feels like we might be a little light on the threat base, like no Dark Confidants and such like we were running in the last build, so we'll see how that comes back to do this time around. Beyond that, sideboard is a lot of the same. We have 3 copies of Collective Brutality, because I don't know how prevalent Red's going to be right now. 1 copy of Weather the Storm. Those are largely for the burn matchups, although Brutality can come in sometimes when you need a little bit more interaction against combo or control. 2 copies of Pillage, 2 copies of Boil. Pillage primarily for any type of big mana, but you're also going to bring it in against a lot of the control mid-range decks. Boil, obviously, because Yorion, despite taking the hit in the changes, I don't think Yorion's going to drop off that much. In fact, it might increase. 2 copies of Veil of Summer, because the mirror and red decks the mirror and blue decks with counterspells are a thing. 2 copies of Nihil Spellbomb. Once again, kind of keeping the thing a little bit close to the vest as far as what decks people are going to be playing. 1 copy of Damping Sphere, because Tron's an annoyance, and then 2 copies of Engineered Explosives, because it's still nice to have catch-alls, until we get some idea of how the metagame is going to shake out. Once again, this is Jund with Lurrus in the main deck, so I think Yorion... Oh, Yorion's definitely worse now, Space Marine. It's just probably the one that people are still going to continue to play. But there are setups that you can have with Yorion where it's hard to say. Like there's a lot of, it makes the card a lot worse in terms of like a stabilizing force, but I think it's a lot better in terms of compared to some of the other ones. Like you can easily go a turn 6 where you go pay the 3, hold up Archmage's Charm, for instance. So I don't expect the format to speed back up. In fact, I think it's going to be quite the opposite. I think the format's going to slow down even further. Because if you remember the trends, so I think we're up against Storm here. If you remember the trends before Companions, the format was starting to warp around the Yorion decks. Really? Okay. We'll take Brazen Borrower. So our opponent has their engine card. I think, didn't we play against Restore Balance last time out too? Drawing an awful lot of lands these turns. Not a good hand against the Restore Balance deck. Well, here's the thing, Chaos. I do think Lurrus is still very playable in Prowess. I could easily see a situation where you're running the 8-1 drops, the 4 Abbots, and like 3 or 4 Lurrus. And we're about to get destroyed, so yay, magic. Alright, should have taken the restore balance, I guess. Yeah, main board as opposed to bringing back Bedlam Revelers. Much like we're doing with Jund, I could easily see it being played main board. I think we want the Collective Brutalities as additional discard. How many, I don't know. Pillage and Boil, they really operate on a fine line with their deck. Engineered Explosives to answer, potentially answer the Rhinos. Fatal Push can come out. Curious what other... Maybe a Bolt Out. Once again, we could blow up their lands, but like, is that really accomplishing much against the Electro Dominance? Whatchamacallit deck? That part I'm not sure of. Sounds awkward. We need... Having 2 of our basics in our hand, no discard spells. I think this hand's just a mulligan. This hand is fine, not particularly fantastic. Put back one of our main deck swamps. Ley Line of Sanctity. Yay. Collective Brutality. Well, we're gonna go ahead and alright, so keeping in mind that our opponent likely has Blood Moons in their deck. Fortunately, we can't interact with that particular piece of information. Because, you know, discard spells and nonsense. I think this matchup's already kind of rough. And just them having ley lines makes it even rougher. This is one of those matchups where, like, yeah, we can potentially disrupt their combo, like I think we successfully did last time. What on earth? Seriously? Alright. Now we gotta beat 2 friggin' Rhinos. Some way, somehow. Alright, that's one way to stabilize against Rhinos. Make sure we get the basic forest here. That does keep us from casting Croxa does help stabilize the board, at least for the moment. Another Croxa, huh? Throws away Ancestral Visions. That's kind of disturbing. Unfortunately, we're just kind of twiddling our thumbs for the moment. Love to draw a red source. More Liliana. Both of those would be kind of nice. Brutality can at least potentially help kill these rhinos. They're crashing footfalls, so what's likely to be in our opponent's hand right now? How's everyone doing tonight? I have a feeling we're about to get as foretold. Or ED would be unfortunate. Electro Dominance into some redonkulous spell. Why wouldn't you go after Liliana here? That seems bizarre. Well, you know, there was bound to be changes. Especially when they announced there was going to be one. I'm just curious who had the information beforehand, because somebody put the information out there that the companion change was going to be 3 mana, put it into your hand at sorcery speed. So I wonder who actually had the information in advance. Somebody knew. Yeah, like they specifically knew the particulars. Leyline Sanctity has been quite annoying this game. I have no idea. That's what we're trying to find out. Morning, Antoine. Why wouldn't you play Electro Dominance for one? Opponent is like trying really hard to give us this game. So, do I want to bring in some number of pushes over maybe these lightning bolts to deal with those stupid rhinos? Maybe. Like, I don't think either one's particularly good. Like, the main reason engineered explosives are in the deck are to deal with the rhinos. They operate on a small amount of lands, but I still don't think LD is the way to go here. Did I beat Tron? When did I play Tron? Oh, this hand is... I think we keep this hand because they showed us Leyline. Like, I'm not going to mulligan towards... Do I mulligan towards discard? On the draw... Keeping this hand, hoping discard spells are good. Probably have a Leyline in their opener, though. Put back Brutality. And no Leyline. Okay. That's at least reasonable for us. Okay, Ancestral Visions on one. That's a little rough. Veil of Summer, Simian Spirit Guide, Greater Guard on. Don't think that's much of a choice there. Yeah, I might have put out a little too much content for some people today. Well, that was their draw step. Yeah, we beat it with Death Shadow, but that was a video from like Tuesday or Wednesday that I should have put out like a while ago. Oh, great. We drew, yeah. So, could we get Blood Moon next turn? How worried am I about Blood Moon? I guess not too much. Play out the Seal of Fire. Once again, maybe I should have kept the other hand. I don't know. Our opponent has yet to show us a green land, so maybe I wasn't supposed to take Veil of Summer. Feeling I'm about to get Blood Mooned. Croxa. I don't... The problem with the card is it's such a blowout in certain circumstances that it's like... Eh. Are they going to play a Simian Spirit God here? Nope. 4 mana. Electro Dominance for 2. Cool. What other nasty? Okay, nothing else going on. Just playing Lurrus. Okay. At least we get the last card in their current hand. Unfortunately, they're about to draw 3 new cards. So 4 new cards next turn. So Electro Dominance. Okay. Okay. Next turn, we get to bring back Croxa against their current hand of stuff. Well, I think the deck that best utilizes it is probably Neo Brand. And I don't know that that's a good thing. Sure. Just going to get the basic swamp here. Inquisition is tempting. Very, very tempting. I still think I'm supposed to Croxa here. Discard and Restore Balance, which is interesting. Need more counter spells. What you doing, Foz? Alright, let's see what you got. Gotta fade 1 draw step. Are you... Skill game. Skill game. Oh. So our opponent drew, as foretold, with a Restore Balance in hand. They then proceeded to sack all of their lands to a Suspended Greater Gargadon. They have 0 cards in hand. So that means we would have had no lands, no creatures, no spells in hand. They would have had a Greater Gargadon coming off Suspend next turn. Hello, it's me, Balance. Pretty much. So, basically we would have had 1 draw step to draw our other Assassin's Trophy and 2 lands. Which isn't feasible. It's pretty reasonable. Play Mishra's Bauble. Bubble ourselves. Assassin's Trophy against an unknown opponent. Sure, I guess we're good with that. Ugh. Amulet? Yep. Well... It's frustrating is what it is. It's one of the things about like playing discard spell decks is you know when your opponent is a total luck sack, and it's really frustrating. Opponent with the Bajuka Bog to render our Lurrus kind of pointless here. You know, I don't know what the new meta is going to look like, but this is looking a lot like last league with Jund, where we like got absolutely hosed by just random nonsense. Okay, so can opponent Titan here? Yeah, opponent can Titan here. Turn 3 Titan, nothing to see here. Oh, I know. It just... It's just really frustrating when you go, yep, my opponent has like 6 outs, and they draw one of those 6 outs. Or 6 or less, actually. So we're dead here. Moving on. Turn 3 Titan. Yep, still a thing. Damping Sphere, not great, but reasonable. Boil, probably reasonable in the face of what's likely a Dryad deck. Pillage, pretty decent. EE... EE could be okay in some spots, but I don't know if we want to go that far down the rabbit hole. I think Croxa could potentially go. 1 run in 6 can probably go. Shaving a Lurrus potentially. Yes, I know I can't have it as a companion. I'm fully well aware. Shaving some number of... leave some amount of bolts in, because we don't know if they're on the scout version or not. And then kind of do from here. Like, Damping Sphere isn't great against them, but it's okay. Maybe it's just Croxa goes because of the nature of Bajuka Bog main, but then we really are low on threats. So... Alright. Yep. This hand needs a lot for it to line up right. Needs our opponent not to have a Titan until turn 4. Needs our opponent to have Dryad. And we have no interaction until, except for Assassin's Trophy, which isn't especially great in the matchup. For that reason, it's a mulligan. This hand isn't like specifically great either, but at least we have the semi-attrition plan of Liliana, and we have a Seal of Fire to answer an early Scout or Azusa. We don't have an answer to an early... whatchamacallit, which is unfortunate, but I still think this hand's a keep. Hard to say. We haven't played any matchups where Lurrus is actually would be good yet. We played against Restore Balance and Amulet Titan, both of which are matchups where Lurrus isn't particularly a good card anyway. And so alright, so they're on the Arboreal Grazer version, which makes our removal spell plan significantly worse. Man, I'm running out of Croxa here, or am I running out Scoos? I don't think we're clocking them in anything meaningful way, so I think I'm just going to run out Croxa. I think we're trying to choke them on resources more than anything. Don't know if it'll work, but it's at least a plan. Thoughtseize is interesting. I think we Thoughtseize them here. I get Veil of Summered. Okay. Tracker and Dismember. Take the Tracker. Play the Scoos. I'm fine with it getting dismembered if that's how they wish to spend their turn. They didn't dismember it. Interesting. Okay, drew Explorer, which is one of their better cards in the matchup. Alright, what you got? 2 cards in hand. Guess I go ahead and do this, swing, see if they dismember. This uses all of our mana and all of our resources this turn. Why aren't they dismembering? I'm dumbfounded as to what they're waiting on here. There's the dismember. With 1 card in hand. Teleria West. Alright, so we at least got a Titan out of their hand. They are set up to Titan, unfortunately. Fetch land. Nice to see Liliana back. Opponent going to bounce a land back to their hand? Sure. They're not going to like this very much. Alright, let's cast the seal while we can. What's up, War Dog? opponent doesn't want to show us last card in hand. So opponent is more likely to bring in Graveyard Hate now. I guess we'll bring the Mishra's Bauble back in. Do we though? How likely are we to be able to actually win a game on the draw against Titan? We got lucky there to win that game, I think. So I think I take the bolts out. Especially now that they've shown us Arboreal Grazer as opposed to Scout. Hand's okay. It's not like super exciting. Basically can only keep it because Dampening Sphere is a card. Not great against them, but it's reasonable enough. Am I about to get thought? I was gonna say, am I about to get thought seized? That'd be hilarious out of the whatchamacallit deck. Bobble ourselves. Kulagon's Command. Am I interested in Kulagon's Command? I feel like there are so many more impactful cards that we could draw. At the same time, it's like, I think I'll take a fresh draw. I hate Moto sometimes. Congratulations, OP. You have activated my trap card. Oh, I know, but we only have 6 discard spells to go to, so it's like, Yep, we have Explore here, which D-Sphere doesn't particularly slow them down. Oof. Okay, maybe it does. That's rough, OP. I mean, I feel bad, but they could still easily destroy us this game, you know? D-Sphere coming back to bite me there. Whoopsie! Alright, there's the Dryad. Can I get a boil off the top? That'd be great. Assassin's Trophy's kind of awkward here. Like, really, really awkward. Like, I think we have to do it, but it's still hecka awkward here. haven't shown us Bajuka Bog yet, but I don't know that that particularly matters. I do believe it's in effect. I'm just running Lurrus in the main, so... Second ride is so annoying. Hey, deck, can you hit us a boil one time? Liliana's really awkward in the face of a known Baloth next turn. Summoner's Pact is scary. Is it though? I'm not sure they can actually afford to cast it. Okay. That's game. Yeah, Jim's son, we're actually playing Lurrus in the main deck. Yeah, the 1-of D-Sphere definitely got them. I think the fact that saved us is that we didn't show them we had D-Sphere or Damping Sphere in game number 2. And Jund's not exactly a deck you expect to bring in Damping Sphere against you. Yeah, we got a Jund hand. Thoughtseize in the Goyf. Or Bolt in the Goyf. Oof. Eldrazi-tron? Sure. Thought not, spatial contortion. So 2, 3, 3, 4. Spatial contortion isn't especially relevant here. Thought Not Seer, I guess, takes the other Goyf. We know we're getting smashed next turn. Take Bolt, which is interesting. Acquisition, which means we get to take Contortion. Yep, double Reality Smasher. That is truly terrifying. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Do this. Going to 12 seems great. I think we're definitely losing this race. Maybe I'm supposed to hold back. Smash a Boy number 1. I'm supposed to play skews here. Pass. Problem is, the longer the game goes, the better their top decks are, I think. Tron assembled. So I'm going to presume the last card in their hand is nothing. Pass. Alright, so Damping Sphere, Pillages. How many answers to Chalice do I want? Currently have 4 in the deck. I don't think Engineered Explosives is worth bringing in against it. We'll go down the bolts here. Bolts seem actively terrible in this matchup. And we have the triple discard spell hand, but I don't think this hand's keepable. This hand's at least interesting. What am I putting back here? Bauble gives us Lurrus value, but I think Lurrus might actually be the weakest card in our hand right now. So we'll go ahead and do that. If we draw a Lurrus later on, I think we're fine with it, but I think right now we're more concerned about setting up the early game here. Alrighty then. That's a hand. It's got magic cards. So Relic puts a huge damper on our game plan. Expedition Map gets them to their idiots. And Wormcoil's just not beatable. But that's a problem for a different life. I think it's Relic. No, I don't think Map's the take here. Because we already knew they're drawing a Wastes, so they're going to have at least 4 mana. I think we need the ability to go with our own game plan. That and the fact we can empty our hand before they can do anything. I mean, this game's not going to go well for us at all. I mean, I should have attacked there. I guess we can just put the land right back in the graveyard, so it doesn't particularly matter. We're getting Thought Not Seared this next turn. Actually, they could Reality Smash us. That's potentially even worse. They'll probably TKS us for value anyway. Just to... That Blast Zone takes 2 turns, but it's an enormous pain in the hind end. Okay. As figured. Surprise, I have nothing in my hand. Thoughtseize. So we know they have Worm Coil Engine. That's a card we can't beat, so that's probably what we're taking. But the rest of their hand is also basically unbeatable. Current the Great Creator is a nightmare. Worm Coil Engine's a nightmare. Yep, it just hit us for 9. Basically dead. Yeah, I forgot that they couldn't cast Worm Coil because of the mana situation. I always think of Eldrazi Temple as Ancient Tomb. That was on me. I should have taken the Smasher. They could have potentially Karned and grabbed, like, Tormod's Crypt. Have to blow up Blast Zone, or else we have no blocker. Something with a handful of lands feels pretty miserable. Is this Walking Ballista or is this Karn? Feels like Ballista. Nope, Karn. Alright. Probably go grab a Tormod's Crypt here. Yep. One, two, three. So our goes to 2-3. Three, 4, my bad. In the end, the result is the same. Reality has been smashed, as I say when I lose. Fair enough. This hand Junds, so I think we keep it. So far we've seen Restore Balance, grabbing a Blood Crypt here since we have our awkward basic forest. E-tron and Amulet. What's behind door number 4? Oh. Okay. Apparently door number 4 is Gruul. Did you seriously rip? Okay, so they're at least repping Bolt. I'm like, don't you tell me you seriously ripped a freaking I'm gonna say, don't tell me you seriously ripped another freaking Utopia Sprawl. I was seriously about to lose it if they did. Okay, so they have a Bolt like we're repping. Leaves their hand with Seasoned Pyro, Clothis, and Megas. What are we supposed to do this turn? So I'm using all my mana this turn, so doing Baron more doesn't make a ton of sense. I guess I grab Swamp here. Allows me to Fatal Push this. Can Bolt Megas next turn. And then just slam my skews. Drew their third mana source. I doubt they slam Seasoned Pyromancer here. Guessing this will be a Clothis, yeah. Which is fine. We can fight over Clothis activations with skews. No, we need to leave the bolt to kill Magus, because there's no guarantee we could generate revolt with Magus in play. Was the primary thing. Actually, I think I just let that happen this turn. Sure. Alright, Overgrown Tomb, not terribly exciting. Still think we put it in play. Magus. Last card's a land, so they get to seasoned and draw 2 cards. Bobble's annoying, but, you know, just eat it so they don't get the value. Yep, there's a season that we knew about. They get to draw 2 cards. Seasoned Pyromancer is just such an awesome card design. Alright, so let's start by looking at what you've got. Glory Banger. Aight. Bring back Baron Moore. Immediately eat that so you don't get a chance to bring it back. Alright, and I don't think there's anything our opponent can guess if somehow our opponent has Storm's Wrath in their deck, they get us a little bit. Or Hour of Devastation. Oh boy. Could want engineered explosives in some number. Pillages could be fine. Crocs feels a little eh. Like, we're severely limiting our threats without it, though. It's like one of my concerns with this particular build of the deck. Well, that deck tends to flood out. Like they're trying to cast Glorybringers and Oboshes, or used to be casting Oboshes. So they kind of flood out. How much stuff can I afford to actually cut in this matchup? Can we afford to win with only 8 creatures in our deck? I guess. Like between Klothys and potential relics or that kind of stuff, I don't see Kroxa actually accruing enough value to be worth it. I don't know. That was one of my concerns with this particular build that I kind of threw together, was the fact of there may not be enough threats in the deck. No, they didn't flood out. I think they hit all their land drops, though. Like, one of the difficulties in this matchup is they can't kill our Tarmogoyfs generally, and we can't kill their Klothyses. So we only have a certain amount of cards that we can fight over it with, and Scavenging Ooze happens to be that card. So the fact that they wasted their bolt on the Wrenn and 6 was kind of nice for us. Okay. Hopefully our opponent is okay. Just making sure we haven't timed out or anything. So my biggest concern with this build of the list so far has been, well, yeah, Blood Moon's definitely good for them, but we can only mitigate it so many ways. The weakness of this version is, obviously, we're weak to Graveyard Hate, which I guess technically most Jund decks are anyway, to a certain degree. And we might lack enough answers to heavy hitters, only having the 2 trophies and no, like, Maelstrom Pulses or anything. And then the threat base is kind of light. So might want a Raging Ravine somewhere in the land base, just to have another threat that we could rebuy with Wrenn. It's not ideal, but at least it would give us another threat. Maybe over one of these 2 Nurturing Peatlands. No, Treetop Village is terrible. In a deck that you're trying to cast Kroxa, Treetop Village is terrible. To answer your question, Space Predator, I'll tell you our matchups. Blue-Red Restore Balance, Amulet Titan, Eldrazi-tron. And now Jund Midrange. So I'll let you take a guess what our record is going into this match. I think we keep this hand, but it's definitely questionable. Treetop Village is good in Rock. It's not good in Jund. Especially Jund that's trying to cast Croxo. No, there's Space Marine and Space Predator. That's not a mistype. Megas, Bolt, and Clothis. I think we take Clothis here. Certainly close, though. Hopefully we'll draw an answer to Megas next turn, and then we won't have to care. But otherwise, we might have to Thoughtseize Megas next turn. That was, in fact, their draw step. Interesting. Fortunately, we did not, so I think we have to Thoughtseize here. Take the Megas. Play out the Swamp to cycle Barrenmore here, so we at least get to use all of our mana. Once again, the problem isn't going over the top, O'Doyle. The problem is having another threat. Alright, fair enough. Guess Pillage was one of their less devastating draws here. Basic Mountain, just what I want against the Blood Moon deck. Scavenging Ooze is not terrible. So I guess I grab Forest, run out one of the Scoozes here, force them to burn the Bolt. I can't actually cast Renin 6 this turn. Well, that's an interesting draw. Don't think it's particularly good here right now, but it's an interesting draw. Put it with one unknown in hand. Apparently it is a Bone Crusher Giant. It's a heck of a draw. Megas of Zamoon. Oh, that one's annoying. Black Cleave Cliffs, huh? Guess we start by cycling Barrenmore here. %100% blocking. You have another one, don't you? Nope. So I suppose we're not to expose Lurrus yet. Gonna do this. Start by casting Inquisition. See what you got in hand. Guessing, okay, that's a rough one. So, get back, burn more here. So we have to, what am I more willing to have happen here? Have Liliana die. We're not playing him as a companion. We're playing Lurrus in the main deck. So, I don't know if companions are still useful. I build a version with, I think it's much easier to beat a Bone Crusher Giant than a copy of, whatchamacallit? Bloodbraid Elf plus value. Okay, I'm cool with that. Question is, what do they kill here? Alright, Liliana's fine. Yep. The sickening part is Lurrus on his own is still good. I do believe it is in fact live. So I screwed up here and forgot that I can't bring back Liliana. So I tapped all my green sources. Good job. Sure, got a blood man. I'm doing good. Hashtag double punt. Meant to cycle that and we play it. Need an Assassin's Trophy, I think, here. Or something. I think Tarmogoyf counts as or something. So despite our double punt, deck bailed us out. Cool. I'm not sure Space Marine's in chat right now. He has a tendency to go to bed in the middle of the stream. Back in 1 second. Gonna get up and stretch for a sec. I guess the only question is O'Doyle, what are you copying with Isochron Scepter that you want to play in blue-white? Like, the original basis of Isochron Scepter was Orum's Chant. I played some back in the day with some casual decks. My brother has a very heavy fondness for Fire Ice. And he also liked to play Hide-Seek, which you could also do. I don't know how the current rules affect that, but it used to be where you could, like, as long as one side of the thing was 2 or less, you could imprint it, and then you could choose either copy. How is Silence worded? It's been a minute since I've actually seen Silence. Opponents can't cast spells this turn. So, we're up against a Yorion deck. I don't think this hand's particularly good against a Yorion deck, so I think this is a mulligan. This hand's a mulligan. Guess we get rid of 2 lands. The 1 remaining playable companion. Well, ISO could also couldn't you also actually use the prevent combat portion of Chant too? I forget how tacked on costs work with Isochron Scepter. I swear if we draw a freaking Blackcleave Cliffs, I'm going to have a stroke on MTGO. Between that and the Kolaghan's command earlier. Second time. Second time we've fetched away and drawn the exact same card. Oh, MTGO, and you say there's no bugs. Okay. I think we're a pretty big dog this game anyway, regardless, but, you know, things and stuff. Joke's on you, opponent. My hand's terrible. Oh, look, we drew a Fatal Push after they collected Brutality, yes. I mean, I suppose it can be, like, relevant in the face of, like, a Urza or something. They discard a Fatal Push. They are Sultai? I wonder if this is the Sultai Rec deck. That's going to be a hard one to beat if it is. There was a deck, I actually did some streaming with it on the channel. It was originally pioneered by FTZZ, I believe. And it was like a Sultai Reclamation Mystical Teachings deck. And I believe there's been a version of it floating around that's also a Yorion deck now. Put that out, that way we at least have a fetch land to trigger things. Hey, if you're going to go that hard to play the deck of Doyle at that point, why don't you just throw in Teferi and Narset in the Gaia Reach Sanitarium lock? At least the nice part is we haven't drawn any of our basics. You know what? Whatever. I'm just going to let the Inquisition stick. There's no sense fighting it at this point. I don't want to waste my Fatal Push trigger. Although I get this... Okay, at least give us something to hit. Not that it's particularly good card advantage for us, or card situation. Inquisition, I think we're going to hold until we have a threat we want to resolve. Because Lord knows we have the mana to resolve it. Oh, they're going to return Fatal Push? Sure. Apparently the new changes are not quite in place yet. Could have sworn... Oh, Magic Online Companion Rules effective June 3rd, 2020. So our opponent is taking one last hurrah with Yorion as is. Cool. The fourth is for Arena. Tabletop effective dates, June 1st. Arena BNR and Companion Rules effective 4th. Magic Online ban restrictive effective the 1st. Magic Online Companion Rules update effective the 3rd. So why they put the ban in effect one day and the rules change in effect another, Magic. Anyway, Inquisition. See if we can clear the way. Right click, concede. How do I think it's going to affect the meta? So bring these 6 in. Don't think Trophy is going to have a lot of targets we care about in this matchup. I'm on the suspicion that they are... Actually, I want to leave some number of trophies in, I suppose. Go down a couple of fatal pushes, maybe. Problem is, like, a lot of our stuff isn't particularly good in this matchup. Need some answers to their Coatls, but not a ton. Lurrus, they didn't get to see. I'll finish your question here in a second, where Dan, as soon as I actually... Is blowing up one of their lands even worth it? Like, Boil is definitely worth it, but is Pillage. I don't know that Pillage is actually worth it. So, I think the meta is going to get... you're going to see the falling off of a lot of decks that were relying on Companion. So, you're going to see a fall away of Burn, which was already, I think, on the decline. You're going to see the fall away of a lot of the decks that were relying on Lurrus, or they're going to revert back to their older forms, which is not a net positive for a lot of those decks. Like, Death Shadow and Jund, I think, are fine reverting back to some variant of their other type. But, like, Burn is significantly weaker. It may not be targeted as much, which is nice, but I think this stands a keep. It's not great by any means, but I don't think we're beating this deck on a long game anyway. Urion decks are just terrible for our style of deck. So I could Inquisition here, but I think I'm just going to jam a Tarmogoyf. Grab a Stomping Ground, I guess. Alright. 1-2 Goyf, go. Sure. Guessing that means a Fatal Push is in our future. I think you're going to see a meta that goes back to Prowess versus Green-Black X decks versus Urion piles versus Tron. and a little bit of combo. I think basically you're going to see a lot of the meta that you already currently see, just less grindy. Abrupt Decay, Abundant Growth, Ice Fang, Coatl, Spell Pierce, and Uro. Okay. I think I take Coatl out of that hand. Like, none of the choices are good. Don't get me wrong. None of the choices are good. If our opponent gets too cute with their Abrupt Decay, we can get them a little bit with Veil of Summer next turn. Especially if they don't want to shock in this breeding pool against a reasonably aggressive... Okay, never mind. They just draw the... Well, hello there. 'Cause I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. You're gonna get by Veil. Got too cute, should've main phase your stuff. I don't think I play around Dread of Winter here. I think I just jam Lurrus boy, tell him to go. Lethal on board. Make you set up a cryptic command. And then we get to hopefully get you with this boil. Okay, how are you planning on staying alive is my curiosity. Like, Uro doesn't save you. Okay. Okay. And you're dead. Nice. Didn't have to show you Boil, but we did have to show you Veil. I guess that's a sort of win. Okie dokie. So... Coatl, Uro, stuff. Do I want bolts or do I want pushes? I guess we keep pushing. At least in some number. Still not a huge fan of pillage. All right. I mean, this hand's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. Drawing a Misty. Thoughtseize, Fatal Push, Arkham's Astrolabe. Take the Thoughtseize. Probably going to Abundant Growth here. Ooh, fancy. Yeah, they pissed. They pitched, not pissed, pitched Mystic Sanctuary. Okay, what you got, what you got, what you got? Feeling I'm about to get erode, baby. Ashiok's mildly annoying. You draw an untapped land in 2 draw steps now. Alright. I mean, it's a thing, I guess. Maybe they'll get sloppy here. Codal. Problem is, we've lost one of our non-fetchable lands. Well, the problem is we need to hit a 4th land drop, so yeah. That is an issue. Alright, that's a thing. I think we just do this now, right? Let's grab an... Okie dokie. One of your 2 cards in hand's a Fatal Push. We don't know what the other one is. Archmage's Charm, draw some cards. Sure. So, we gotta beat a Urion, which is not the easiest thing to do. Especially a Urion that's about to draw 5 cards. Oh boy, but we get to boil them. Oh boy. Fortunately, we don't have too many outs to Urion itself. But, yeah. Inquisition. So we even get to clear the way for Foursome Negation. Okay. Their 2 lands are 2 Field of Ruins. So what card is most likely to matter with their current hand, the way it's set up? Drown and Lock, I guess? Go. Really need to draw our other Assassin's Trophy, which kind of... I guess Liliana would be okay. Liliana would have been a good draw. Let's see what they're drawing. Kirby Command, sure. Huh. Alright. I mean, we got to do the thing, but I think we're dead here. I think that's one of the dangers with this particular line is we don't have that many things in our deck that, and now they have Archmage's Charm online. Yeah, we're just dead. Put it correctly, understanding that the card means nothing. Do that. Sure. We need to get a bunch of redraws, but in the end, they really don't matter. Okie dokie. So overall thoughts on this league with companionless Lurrus Jund. Played a ton of bad matchups for Jund. You know, I think all of those decks are basically coin flips or slightly worse for Jund. And we still came out 2-3. Like, we were one top deck away from not losing to Restore Balance combo. So that's certainly a matchup that was literally a coin flip. Yorion feels like a bad matchup, and the fact that they got to play under the old companion rule still, you know, while we're operating under the new rules, kind of feels bad, but, you know, acceptable. We beat Amulet, we beat Jund Midrange operating under the new rules. So I think overall this league's a success in that it showed Lurrus is pretty reasonable in the main deck. I'm not sure it's better than BBE, but then again, what really is? Remains to be seen if Lurrus is better than Bloodbraid Elf, just the lower curve and such. The two things I noted earlier is we are weak to Graveyard Hate a little bit, and we're a little bit threat light. I think the first thing is getting one copy of Raging Ravine into the land base. Maybe over in the second Nurturing Peatland that I put in the deck. Still gives you 3 utility lands to grab with running 6 out of the yard. I'd like to cram another Maelstrom Pulse in here somewhere, but I'm not sure where. That's the thing, is the space on this version is like super tight because of the Bobble Seal of Fire. So, like, getting more answers in this deck involves weakening the Lurrus package. Maybe we're only supposed to run 2 Lurrus. Like, there's a lot of little tweaking that can be done. So, I honestly think Lurrus is better than BBE. Crazy to say, but Lurrus showed it's got some chops in this league, even as a 3-drop. So, I don't know. I played the league. I guess I'll toss it up to the Jund community to try to figure out, what's the... I already know I'm going to hear, well, Bloodbraid Elf's just better than Lurrus, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But maybe there will be a few reasonable people that will take what this version's trying to do and give back some honest feedback. So, I don't know that we want to be upping the curve, though. I don't know. It's really up in the air, O'Doyle. Like, that's one thing with Jund, is there's a lot of tweaking and possibilities with the deck. So, anywho, I am spent, so I am going to call it an evening. I hope everybody had a good night. Nice for Foz to hang out for a while here. Foz, I still haven't forgot about the other project. I'm still slowly working on that, but anyways, beyond that, this was the first experiment with Lurrus the Dream Den in the main deck with new companion rules, even though the new companion rules aren't apparently live yet, and one of our opponents decided to keep playing the better cards in the current arms race. So, hope everybody has a great evening. This has been John for MTG Nexus. Peace.